I lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Here's how I did it. Hey y'all, V2 here with Accountable Mornings, and welcome to Keeping Me Accountable, a series where I'd like to share a little bit about my personal health journey. Before we get started, if you can, please hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button to help keep me accountable. I've done a number of things over the past 4 months to help with my health journey, but TLDR, I focused on 4 main points. Diet, which was fasting. Exercise, which I try to do 2 to 3 times a week. Steps, which I try to do 10,000 steps per day. And sleep, where I try to get 7 hours of sleep per night. Following these guidelines helped me become healthier than I had been in the past 6 years. I lost weight, I'm no longer on the verge of being pre-diabetic, and I feel a lot more nimble. It may sound simple, but the journey is challenging. Here is my specific journey over the past few months. First things first. I needed to discover that I needed to do something about my weight. Last year in October, it was my wife and I's anniversary, and we went to this restaurant. The restaurant offered to take our picture, to give us a memento, to remember the event. I didn't realize it then, but I was pretty overweight. I didn't know I was over 200 pounds at the time. I always thought I was somewhere in the 190s, maybe 195 at most, but nowhere near that 200-pound mark at that time. I know I'd been over 200 pounds, but I didn't think I was there. Fast forward a few months, I still had not done really anything about my weight. I was still eating whatever I wanted to eat multiple times a day, just living life like how I had in the previous 6+ years. Exercised was very rare and infrequent. I did try to play golf, which is something that I picked up due to my wife picking up the sport. And so I was able to do that activity. And I thought, okay, this is good. I should be healthy if I continue to play golf. When I finally figured out that I needed to do something about my weight, I was on YouTube, and of course, I learned everything off YouTube, right? I was on YouTube learning about different diets, different lifestyles, different ways to help with my health. My problem is that I'm an on or off person. I either need to do something 100% fully committed, fully dedicated to the lifestyle, or I'm just not gonna do it at all. The problem with something like paleo, like keto, like veganism, vegetarianism, pescatarian, mindful eating, there was just so much influx of options, which always paralyzed me. Someone said it best when it was paralysis by analysis. And that was me with trying to figure out what diet I wanted to pursue. Then I came across fasting. The nice thing with fasting for me was it didn't restrict me from eating anything I wanted, any amounts that I wanted. It just gave me a dedicated window to eat. And when the window was closed and the fasting window opened, then it was wait until the next refeed window to eat what you want to eat again. And I felt like this was a good alignment with the mentality of on and off. The fasting window starts, then the food decision switch turns off. And then the fasting window ends, and the food decision switch turns on. But because I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, I took it a little slowly. I started with a 16/8, so a 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. Pretty much for me, that was just skipping breakfast. So go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning, skip breakfast, and then have lunch and dinner with the family. That seemed to work okay. So I challenged myself to the next step, which was a 20/4. 20-hour fast, and then a 4-hour eating window. A little bit more challenging for me, but still doable. The only problem was because it was a 4-hour feeding window, I had my lunch, and then when I was having my dinner, nobody around me was hungry, so it would just be me eating. And then when everybody got hungry, I was back in my fasting window. So not the best, but was doable. After trying the 16/8 and then 20/4 for about 2-3 weeks, I was on YouTube again, of course, and I saw a couple videos about doing longer extended fast, longer than the 16/8, longer than the 24. There's like something called an OMAD, 1 meal a day. Then there was like a 48-hour fast, so 2 days. Then there was a 65 and a 90-hour. And I was like, that seems excessive, but sure, why not? And something just clicked. It was one of those, if you're not gonna do it now, when are you gonna do it? Why are you gonna wait till the first of the month? Why are you gonna wait until Monday? Why wait when you can just do now? And I thought to myself, why am I waiting? Is there a reason that I need to wait until Monday? Is there a reason that I need to postpone trying to help myself better my health in order to be there for my family? So I challenged myself. I challenged myself to do a 30-day trial of rolling fast. My target was 90 hours, so I would do a 90-hour fast and then a 4-hour refeed window. It was at that point I decided to jump into the deep end and start. So on March 19th at 11:45 p.m., I made the decision to start this fasting journey. So my primary focus for month 1 was doing this fasting challenge. Because it was the first time that I've ever done this type of fasting, it was the first time that I've ever gone days without eating. It was something that I really needed to focus on to see if it was even plausible. At the same time, a friend of mine messaged me and he said, hey, I'm going to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday. I want you to join me. I said, I can't afford it. And he said, oh, don't worry, I have a guest pass. I'll just put you as my guest, and every time I go, you're able to go for free. Cool, let's do it. So I was doing my fasting and I was exercising twice a week with my friend at this global gym. Now with the fasting, I found out that the 90-hour fast was very difficult to work with due to the inconsistent nature of the refeed days with my family. What I mean by that is I didn't have a consistent, I can refeed on Tuesday and I can refeed on Saturday. It was, I can refeed on Tuesday, then I can refeed on Saturday, then I can refeed on Wednesday, then I can refeed on Sunday, then I can refeed on Thursday, then I can refeed on Monday. It was very inconsistent and it was very difficult to set timelines of when to have meals with my family. And that was something I knew I didn't want to miss out on. So a couple weeks into doing the 90-hour fast, I decided instead of just doing straight 90-hour fast, I can do something that's a little bit more consistent. I can do a 65 and then a 90-hour. So we tried to do something a little bit more consistent, which was refeeding on a Wednesday and then refeeding on a Sunday and then refeed on Wednesday and then Sunday and so on and so forth. So it was more consistent and it was more plannable, if that's a word or if that's a phrase that I can use, to have those planned meals with my family on those specific days. There was also another setback that happened in month 1. That setback was discovering holidays. During month 1, it was Easter. On Saturday, I had my typical refeed meals of whatever I wanted to eat, and I indulged as I normally do. And then come Sunday, I completely forgot that we were doing something for that holiday. I thought we were just spending the time at the house, but we ended up going to an outdoor bar and grill that had an Easter egg hunt for our kids. I told my wife, I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna break my fast. I'm not gonna give in. I'll be here and let's just enjoy this time at this new location. However, that changed. When I was sitting at the table with my family, their food came that they ordered, and I was just sitting there staring. It wasn't the greatest moment to spend with my family because everybody was really enjoying themselves and I was just sitting. I didn't really have anything to do. I didn't have a place to go. There wasn't a place that I can walk to and just get away from the food. I just sat there. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed spending the time with my kids, with my wife at this new location. The environment, the ambiance was amazing, especially for that holiday. It was one of the first moments that I just felt left out. So I was speaking to my wife and I told her, I was like, yes, I'm on this health journey. Yes, I want to make sure that I can lose weight. I cannot be a pre-diabetic. Yes, I want to make sure that I'm here for the long term. But no, I don't want to miss out on things with the family. I don't want to miss out on time spent with my kids. I don't want to miss out on time spent with my wife. And in this case, everybody was having a great time except me. And I didn't want to put that burden on my family. I didn't want them to have to rush what they were doing in order to accommodate my health journey. I decided life events, holiday events, things that aren't as common, there can be an exception made. And so on that Easter Sunday, I indulged in a little bit of breakfast pizza. Yes, I did break my fast a little early, but after that pizza, after we had our brunch, and then we had a family dinner together, I restarted that clock and I went back on my fasting journey. I didn't let it deter me from doing what I had to do or doing what I wanted to do in order to advance my health journey. Lesson learned, events happen, and it's okay that it happens. Just need to accept it, enjoy the time, and restart that timer when the time is right. Just don't wait till Monday. So the next month comes around, and I still remain focused on the two primary things, which was diet and exercise. However, I wanted to add a new aspect to this journey, and that aspect was steps. Now, steps is something that I've always tried to implement even before I started my health journey. I would walk our dog in the evening, and I would do a couple laps around the park, and then I would come back. And so I was doing about 5,000 to 6,000 steps on a daily basis, just out of necessity. In order to push that forward, I wanted to establish a standard baseline of what I should meet on a daily basis. And that standard became 10,000 steps. Previously, when I had a health coach, one of the things that he had me do was establish a step baseline. I told him how many steps I did approximately on average on a daily basis due to walking my dog, and he said, shoot for 10K. 10K steps, whatever you need to do, just shoot for 10K. So that just became my baseline. And it became my baseline during my fasting journey. The nice thing with the steps too was I was becoming more and more active with golf. As I mentioned, I did purchase that scooter to have while I was playing golf, but month 2 comes around and I actually just stored the scooter. I told my friends that, hey, I need to join you, walk in the courses so I can get my steps in. I have a baseline of 10,000 steps, and playing golf is going to help me make sure I get that baseline at least the day that we play. So I stopped riding my golf scooter, I stopped riding carts, and I walked. From an exercise perspective, I still continue to go to the gym twice a week with my friend. It was really nice because it kind of broke the monotony of the week. Because the gym was about 20 miles from where I live, it was nice to have that established timeline, jump into the truck or the van or the motorcycle and ride or drive that 20 miles to meet up with my friend and then do our workout and then drive that 20 miles back. It was nice because it gave me time for myself during the commute, and then I can focus on the workout, and then on the commute back, it still gave me time to myself where I can think about what I'm doing with my health journey, what I need to do moving forward. It was just really nice to have a little bit of time just to me. From a dietary perspective, I'm still continuing to fast. I decided to do the 65 and 90-hour fast, and that seems to have been working out. There have been times when I've had to break my 90 fast a little bit early and then adjust a 65-hour to a 95 or adjust a 90 to a 65. And there was even one instance when I had to adjust the 90 and extended it to 115 hours, which I believe was my longest fast that I've done on my journey. Alongside with the changes and updates to my fasting schedule, I started alternating the types of food I was eating. Yes, I was still eating an excessive amount, but I was starting to enjoy more salads. I was starting to enjoy more vegetables. I would always be around a crudité plate, or I would always have a bowl of salad around with me. I would always make it a point to have an excessive amount of vegetables, which was something I hadn't really done previously. Lastly, from a dietary perspective during month 2, one thing that I really discovered that was very important was the importance of a timer. Maybe it's a mental thing for me, but sitting there and hitting the timer, starting it in order to start my next fasting window just empowered me and motivated me to make sure I hit that 65 hours or that 90 hours. It was very important to me that I was able to have that set target in mind during my fasting journey. Now, setbacks for month 2, there were a couple. One was when my family and I go out to eat, which we were doing a lot more frequently due to my fasting schedule, because when I refed, there were certain foods that I really wanted to eat. We would always come home with a ton of leftover. Not my leftover, but my kids' leftover, or maybe my wife's leftover. They didn't eat as much as I did at the time. And due to the excessive amount of leftover foods that we would have in our fridge, there were a couple times that I had to break my fast a little early, which was the next day, in order to help clear out the fridge of all of those leftovers that we had from the previous night or the previous refeed that I had. I was raised to not waste, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to that. So I just said, it's fine. Let's clear out the fridge. I'll break my fast a little bit early, and then I'll just restart that timer again. The key thing here was, yeah, I may not have been as strict with my fasting schedule as I probably should have been, but I didn't let it completely derail my progress. I didn't let it completely derail my journey. I stopped my timer, I ate the leftover food, and then I started my timer like right then and there. It was really quick. It was one of those like, yeah, it broke, but I'm back on track. Another setback for month 2, very similar to month 1, was social events. So in month 1, it was in regards to holidays. In month 2, it is actual social events. There had been a number of times when we would have friends come together either at our place or we'd go to their place. And as with all social events, there's always food involved. There's always drinks involved. I will say, thankfully, most of my friends understand what I was going through with my health journey. And so they didn't try to push things on me. But it was still a difficult scenario to be in. Again, similar to what I mentioned with the holidays, I didn't want to avoid living the lifestyle or the life that I wanted to, especially during those moments. These social events don't happen very frequently, so I kind of treated it like an exception. During month 2, it only happened twice. So it wasn't like it happened every weekend or every 3 or 4 days. It only happened a couple times during the entirety of the month. So again, hit the timer to open up a refeed window, did my social eventing eating, and then re-hit the timer to start my fasting window again. Not a big deal. Come month 3, still continue to remain focused on diet and exercise and steps. This time I wanted to add another aspect, and that other aspect was sleep. Sleep for me has been a challenge. I did not really have any consistency of the times I went to sleep. I did not really have any consistency with the times that I would wake up. And honestly, it was due to me having all of my electronics right next to me on my bed. When I charged my phone, my watch, my iPad, my laptop, everything was on my bedside because that's where my chargers were. That's how I set it up. That's what I'm so used to. It's just what I did. Having all of those gadgets readily available next to me while I'm in bed made it so that I would always be on YouTube. I would always be on Instagram. I would always be on Facebook or Twitter, or I guess X now, or TikTok, or whatever it was. I would always be online. That needed to change. So in order to change that, I moved all of my chargers to a specific section in my bedroom. This section that I've now dubbed the charging station is where I have all of our chargers for our phones, iPads, laptops, you name it, it's all there. I charge all my camera stuff there too. That's one aspect of sleep that I really focused on. Another aspect of sleep that I focused on was aiming for a specific amount of hours of sleep per night. My hours ranged from 4 to 10. It was very inconsistent. 4 and 10 on that scale is kind of the extreme ranges, but it has happened. I really wanted to work on trying to get a consistent amount of sleep per night. My original target was 6 hours. Finally, to help with getting the appropriate amount of sleep, I established a PM routine. So my PM routine included taking a shower, doing all the bathroom stuff, putting all my electronics on the charging station, and getting to bed and putting my head on a pillow by a certain time. Time I targeted was 10 p.m. From 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., which is the time that I really need to have my eyes shut and going to bed, I read. Reading is something that I've not really done much of in the past, gosh, how many years? It's been quite some time since I finished a book. But having this dedicated time to just lie down, read a book, unwind, and then go to sleep has been such a game changer for me. I've completed my first book in over 20 years. I finished it like 3 weeks ago, and I'm on to the second book in the series. And I honestly can't put it down. It's a fantastic book. Coming back to the whole thing, just having that PM routine, getting in bed by 10, having that dedicated 10, 15, 20 minutes to an hour of dedicated reading time has just been amazing for me. For exercise, unfortunately, my friend that I went to the gym with on a bi-weekly basis, he had moved out of state. And so in order to continue our accountability with each other, we still work out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have my own gym that I use here at home, and he still goes to the global gym in his new state. But we continue to send each other pictures. We continue to motivate each other on text message. It's been amazing to have an accountability buddy to make sure that we're still continuing to do what we need to do to further our health, even though we are hundreds and thousands of miles away. To push my exercise a bit more forward, I started adding more to it. So yes, I would still do my weight training on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I also started adding sprint intervals. I started with 10-second sprints and then 50 seconds of walking, and then I would do that for about 10 rounds. And then that expanded to 15 rounds, and then it expanded to 20 rounds. And I would do that at least once a week. From a diet perspective, more or less the same. Continued with the fasting, continued trying to have my refeed windows on a consistent basis, which was every Wednesday and Sunday. It even got to a point where my friends would start scheduling our social events on those days in order to make sure that I can join in the festivities and join in with the different foods that we were having. And also, if we were having a social gathering that was on a day where I was not eating, they would actually eat foods that I would not feel bad missing out on. So it was really nice to have that type of unintentional support. From a steps perspective, still continued with the 10,000 steps on a daily basis. I try to push myself a little bit more to go to 15, to go to 18. There were some days when I was hitting over 20,000 steps, which felt great. It was especially easy when I was on the golf course and walking on the golf course. So for month 3, there were a number of setbacks still. Primary setback was, it was a very busy month for our family. And what I mean by that is, it was my kid's birthday, it was my birthday, we had vacation planned, and we also had a couple of social events planned too. For my birthday, I actually didn't eat on the day of my birthday. My birthday was on a Friday and my refeed was on a Sunday. Now, I know I had mentioned that I was not going to let my fasting journey interrupt my life. I wasn't going to let my fasting journey interrupt me just wanting to do the things I wanted to do. But in this specific case, we actually scheduled to have my refeed on Sunday, and we had scheduled a fine dining experience. So even though I didn't eat on the day of my birthday, I still got to celebrate it a couple days later during my refeed window. So for my kid's birthday, we were actually traveling. We were on the road. I fed them Taco Bell because that's what they really wanted in the morning. We were driving for like 10 to 12 hours. It was a really long drive. I will say, even though it sucked to be stuck in traffic, it was nice that I didn't have to be surrounded by food or barbecue or, whatever. When we got to our destination, there's a lot of different foods that I like eating there, but because of how long it took to get there, I wasn't surrounded by the places I wanted to go to in order to have their food. Come Sunday was my refeed window, so wherever I wanted to go on Saturday for food, we ended up going on Sunday, which was amazing. That same weekend of my kid's birthday was when we were at Legoland. It was an amazing experience to have with the family. We've never stayed at their hotel before, and the hotel was great. The nice thing with the hotel was in the morning they had a buffet. Their buffet for breakfast was actually really good. And again, it was one of those types of events where I was like, I'm not gonna miss out because it's my kid's birthday, we're on vacation. The stars just aligned for me to just break my fasting window and just enjoy my time there. And that's what I did. So in conclusion, I was not 100% dedicated to the 90 hours fast that I initially proposed when I first started this journey. I was not 100% on the ball, making sure that I always hit that 90-hour mark. I had to make adjustments. I had to make sure that what I did, I was still feeling okay. There was a lot of things that happened to where I could have just said, forget it, it's too hard, but I didn't. There was a couple things that kept me going. One was the timer. Every time I hit that timer to start a fasting window, it gave me a target of, okay, I've done this before. I've done the 65 hours, or I've done the 90 hours. I can do it again. And this timer is going to prove that. So hitting the timer to start my fast, and then hitting the timer at the end of the fast to start my refeed window, just had that feeling of accomplishment, which was a euphoric feeling. Number two, you don't have to be perfect. I was not perfect at all during my health journey, during these past 3 months, but that didn't stop my progress. Number three, it's a journey. It's not gonna happen overnight. I feel that's one of my biggest pitfalls, and I think it's a pitfall for a lot of other people out there. The notion of instant gratification. If I do something, will I reap the benefit of it right away? The best analogy I can think of for instant gratification is playing a video game. When you play a video game, like let's take for example Super Mario Brothers. You hit a question block, you get a coin, the score increases, the coin counter increases, you get that chime of you got something awesome. It's instant gratification. Like all of the mental aspects hit at the same time. Whereas if you're doing something like a diet, whether it's fasting or mindful eating, paleo, keto, whatever the case may be, when you eat the way you're supposed to eat, you're not going to feel it right then and there. It just doesn't happen. You'll feel it over time because it is a journey, but that instant gratification is not there. I feel as a society, we are so accustomed to this notion of instant gratification that we just lose faith in the actual journey that we're taking. We lose faith in ourselves because it's not happening. It's not happening right then, right there. It's never gonna happen because I don't see it. I'm the primary candidate of this feeling. There have been loads of times in my past where my wife or my family has said something like, "You look smaller." And I would say, no, I don't. I don't feel small. I don't look small. I don't see it. But other people saw it. I just never took their word for it. But again, it's one of those, I was always looking for that instant gratification. If I had a salad, the next moment I looked in the mirror, I expected to look like Ryan Reynolds. That's the instant gratification that I was looking for. Sounds stupid, sounds ridiculous, but it was just that mentality I had. Going through this health journey, that's what I need to remind myself, that this is a journey. I need to stop telling myself things are gonna happen overnight. It's just gonna happen. You need to trust the process. Enjoy the journey. Thanks for tuning in to Keeping Me Accountable. Hope you pulled something from this. I know a little bit of it was a diatribe, but I feel like with my journey, there was so much to share and so little time to do it in. So if you want to learn more, I will have some more videos that I will be posting in regards to specifics about some of the things I talked about. But hopefully the summary of what I did in the past 3 months helps motivate you to do what you need to do for your next 3 months. This is VT signing off. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for keeping me accountable. Take care.